Hey, Michael with XForcePC with some additional tips and tricks to getting started with Air Manager. So this is more about usability or day-to-day use of Air Manager. So I've started up X-Plane here, and since I'm going to have my panel down here, what I'm going to do is hit Control W to give myself forwards with scenery only. And then I'm going to open up my Air Manager. Now, Air Manager always opens on the main display, which is the one up top. And what I'd recommend every time is just take and drag that thing down here to the bottom screen, because this is where your panel is going to be if you're using it at least in a typical fashion. Another thing is, if you have a touch screen down here, it's very important that you tell Air Manager that you have a touch screen, because by default Air Manager sets the input to mouse. So, and it will not work very well if you don't do this. So go to Settings, the Settings tab, and under Input Mode, change it to Touch Control. And that'll make it work infinitely better when using a touch screen. Now I'm going to show my Cessna panel here, and the way you use the touch is you put your finger on the knob you want to turn, and then sort of hold it there, and you'll see this box form, and then you can swirl around like this. So let me zoom in on that a little bit. Again, I'm going to touch, well, I'm going to use this one, touch, and then a box forms, and I haven't let go. And then I'm swirling around. Well, I didn't do that quite right. Swirling around like that. Look how the altimeter is moving, just sort of effortlessly. And it works really, really well. As far as pushing buttons, you simply, like the pitot heat here, I just touch it. The avionics I can turn off and on by just touching the lever. You don't have to slide up and down. You just touch the button and touch it again. So, you know, that's pretty handy to know about how to turn the knob. Push, hold, and then spin around the knob if you want to turn it. One thing also to be aware of is where you're clicked into. So, as I mentioned earlier, W and Control W will toggle you between the cockpit and then just scenery only. So, right now I'm clicked into, because I touch down here, Air Manager. So if I hit the W key, nothing happens. That's because I'm not clicked into X-Plane. But if I take my mouse up here and I click back into X-Plane, now X-Plane is the program that I'm controlling, and I hit W, look at that. There, now I can see my cockpit, and then I can hit Control W and make the cockpit go away. But if I'm down here in Air Manager and I hit Control W, nothing happens. If I click back up here, hit Control W. So the bottom line is your hotkeys on your keyboard won't work for you unless X-Plane is the active window. So just be aware of that. If you're down here playing around in Air Manager, that you've got to come back up here, click into X-Plane if you want to use shortcuts. Now the controls on your stick and your yoke or whatever should still work. Let's see. Well, I say that, maybe they don't. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm not in the virtual cockpit. So if I click down here, yeah, so anything you set up on your controls, throttle, prop, mixture, gear up, gear down, anything you set up on a controller, like a yoke or a stick, or your pedals, or the buttons on the yoke, all that will work regardless of if you're down here in Air Manager or up here clicked into X-Plane. But the keyboard will only work if you're clicked into X-Plane, so just be aware of that. I think that's it. Those are just some additional tips that I don't think I covered in my main video.